Hello investors. The most important thing when you invest in a company is obviously earnings and sales and revenues from the company. So here we're going to focus on the EPS matrix. So really earning per share and also sales matrix for a stock. So here we're looking at Apple. How do I pull up the matrix? Just click on the matrix widget here. It will come up and you can put it side by side with the chart. So what do we have here? Earning per share. So these are all of the latest earning per share for the company. It's this year -1, year -2. So last year, a year before. So when you look at this row, it's this year, and this is Q-1, Q-2, Q-3. So the latest data point is this one, 153. That was published on the 2nd of May 2024. The next one is on the 1st of August 2024, so next quarter. So what do we do? What do we look at from there? So first off, we'll look at the growth of this number compared to the prior quarter and the other 2 or 3 quarters, but most importantly from the previous year. So most of the growth is, the earnings are sometimes very seasonal, so that's why you compare year to year, what has changed this year compared to last year. So really what makes more sense than anything is comparing this number 153 to 152, and this is what we're doing. So the percent change section here will highlight all the positive changes that happened in last year. So about 1% or less than 1% is the change between 152 and 153, right? You can have a full description. You see this question mark here. You click here and you have a full description of what we're talking about, right? So that percent change is the difference between 45 and 06, and you have it here as well. So the difference here, the change, 1%. The previous quarter was 16%, so fairly high growth, 13, 16%, and all of a sudden it dropped to 1% this last quarter. So this is not great, I would say. And so let's have a look at the acceleration. So the acceleration here is the last 2 lines of that table, and we can see the acceleration is -15%. Why? Because the acceleration is really the difference between those 2 growth, right? It's how fast the growth is improving or decelerating, or growing or decelerating. So here it was 16, now it's 1. Prior to that it was 13, so it was increasing by about 2 or 3%. And before that it was still accelerating to, at an 8% clip. Now not anymore, so it's decelerating, and you can see it here. The surprise has been there, I guess. So 1%, 4%, 5%, 6% constantly every quarter. And that's a price change during the day, during the earning day for the stock. So this is important to note. Here we have the EM -9, -17, -9, 18. So you also have it on the chart as you roll your mouse over. It shows you all the EM score. So that EM score is really taking all of the above and painting, coming up with a number or a score between -50 and +50 based on all this, right? So it is not just the growth, it's also the linearity of it. So if there's a hole in the data, that will be taken into account. So for example, 26, 120 and 130, right? 126, 120, 130. So here there's definitely a hole between 130 and 126. It went down and then back up, but it's still much lower than what it was 2 years ago. So all that linearity and momentum is taken into account in the calculation of the EM. And here at the bottom you have the same thing, but on a yearly basis. So nothing big there. Now, what can you do with this? Well, you go to the screener and you look at the EPS matrix section, and this is where the system becomes extremely powerful. So here I can obviously have a look at EPSM analytics and look at the EM this quarter. I'm going to remove these other 2. The EM a quarter ago, 2 quarters ago, and I can set my EM level to 20 or 15 or so. But more importantly here, I can look at the matrix and really drill down in very important analytics that I could use to screen for stocks. So we talked about earnings, and the earnings are there. So I can compare Q over Q minus 4, so a year ago, quarterly year-on-year change. And you also have obviously a full explanation of what the field is all about. And then you can filter, and you can say, I want at least 10%. So filter 10%. Then you can say, I also want the acceleration, the earning per share to accelerate from the previous quarter. So again, you want a positive acceleration, so to accelerate, so positive acceleration, of course. And then I see Ameris Bancorp, I see Airbnb, and so on. So again, extremely powerful. But what we didn't click on is we have the exact same thing here on sales. So I can look at the sales number. I just click on that yellow button here, and here are the sales numbers that are populating, and the sales growth. So it is sales are shrinking, so not growing. Acceleration is it's decelerating. And again, I can use it in the screener as well. So I want companies that I have sales that are growing at again maybe a 10% a year, quarterly year on year, or 11%. It's fine. And then I also want maybe the sales to accelerate. So I can do sales acceleration, and I want positive acceleration in sales, right? So now I have about 354 stocks that are the result of this search. Other field in this section will let you look at more analytics on these variables. So first off, the one in red here are the important ones. And maybe we can start with sales, sequential increase in sales. So this is really how many quarters in a row the sales has increased, how many quarters in a row the EPS has increased, and we can go in the screener and set some variables there. So we'll filter. So here I can say 1 quarter in sales, 1 quarter in earnings. And then I start to have another filter. So now I have 180 stocks. So you would think like most companies will have more sales and more earnings 1 quarter after another, but it's not always the case. So if you want companies that have 2 quarters in a row of both sales and earning per share increase, then you filter further, or even 4 quarters. And now obviously it's going to be very stringent, and we're going to be left out with very small number of company, 22 companies. So I can click on APP, AppLovin. So here I have growing earnings. I have growth that I've defined. So here it's in 1,000%. Obviously it's a small company. And same for sales, growing sales for at least the last 4 quarters, and growing earnings, growing sales, so 6,800, and here 48%, and acceleration 12%. But again, I can be more stringent and say, give me the positive sales acceleration, sequential positive sales acceleration. So meaning sales that accelerate several quarters in a row, right? And here I can say 2 or 3 quarters in a row at the bare minimum. I can filter by market cap. Let's say I want growth stocks, higher market cap stocks, and I can sort by this. And Micron Technology is one of them. So I can click on Micron, and here I can see a pristine sales growth. Pristine earning growth quarter after quarter. We can see high percent change from the previous year, high acceleration, Same here, high acceleration, but also sequential acceleration. And so that's sequential acceleration in sales, which is what we define in the screener. And as a result, you see the stock is heading higher because the fundamentals are kind of a driver of all this, of course. So, very useful analytics for you to assess the strength of a company. Play around with it. If you have any question, send us an email at support@EPSmomentum.com. And thank you for your attention.